All right, so thanks for joining us on today's episode of Techbridge on Lagos Television. We always tell you that this is the show that connects you to the future. And when we talk about the future is just today because technology is right here with us. I'm Sheyi Olatide, and I welcome you to Techbridge today.
It's the year of technology and it's the decade of technology, and that is why we're serving you fresh and hot. You're welcome to Techbridge. My name is Tony Alagoke.
Okay, so we'll be looking at the Ndpr today. It's an ongoing conversation since the establishment, or let me say the introduction last year, January 25th by Ndpr. It has probably, we need to appraise it and probably look at the pros and cons of how it has been so far and probably some of the challenges and successes.
That's just about a year ago, and I'm sure they must have recorded some laudable achievements, if I can put it that way.
We need to examine that.
We need to examine it. But I've seen the trend of things, so I could, even I'm feeling it myself.
Okay, so let's see. And eventually we're going to have someone join us to discuss that, one of the key players in the industry, talking about data privacy. And we'll be picking that just after this break. Please stay with us. It's still Techbridge on Lagos Television. So thanks for staying with us. It is still Techbridge on Lagos Television. We told you before that break we'll be talking about the Nigeria Data Protection Regulation 2019. It's about a year down the lane since the introduction, and we'll be looking at how it has performed really. And eventually we'll be talking to Mr. Tokunbo Smith. He's one of the key players in data protection and privacy space. Mr. Tokunbo Smith, you are a friend of the house. Thanks for joining us on Techbridge today, sir.
At the time I call you doctor. Somebody say, no, you're more than a doctor. So welcome, Mr. Smith.
Yes. So let's pick it from this place. You've been an advocate of data protection, data privacy, even before the emergence of Ndpr and EU GDPR. So now let's look at it. It's about a year since the introduction of Ndpr. How do you appraise the performance so far?
Well, the performance has been so encouraging in the sense that even those you think will not know about Ndpr, they are now knowing a lot. Right. When I say that, I'm not looking at the health sector or the financial sector. I'm looking at the businessmen in the industry. I'm talking about those who are doing consultancy, those who are in the architectural or any other business. Okay. We talk about SEC. SEC has already declared that they will support Ndpr.
Oh, that's great.
Health sector, Lagos State Minister of Health, also they are into Ndpr because just few weeks ago they had what they call Smart Health Information Platform, SHIP.
Okay, that's SHIP.
And that is being championed by the commissioner, who is so passionate about it. And I can tell you, without Ndpr, it cannot work. Because you are collecting data of the people and you must ensure that they are highly protected. Mostly financial institutions, health institutions, 70% compliant because they have been following the rule. So, and they receive the Ndpr in good faith. Okay. So I want you to know that there has been a lot of success. And not only that, NIDA has been doing a lot of things, creating awareness.
Okay, I wanted to ask in terms of
NIDA
awareness.
has been creating an awareness a lot. Let me tell you one thing. They have called the media people in Abuja. They called them in Lagos. Not only that, they had to call all the data protection officers in various organizations to create awareness and to let them know their roles and responsibility. And they have also calling DPCOs, the Data Protection Compliance Organization, whom NIDA has chosen as their agent, their representative. They cannot enforce. They can only work in line with NIDA. And let me tell you about that. I have a lot of laws on regulation. That has been a unique one. Because it is only in Nigeria you have DPCO. And that is where I am going, that they went to the grassroots. When you are bringing out a regulation or any law, you must look at the background and the culture of the people if you want that law to work.
Okay,
and
sir.
that is what NIDA has done with DPCO.
Okay, let's come back to the DPCOs later. So we still want to look at how it has been with the Ndpr now. So we're eventually going to look at the key role the DPCO is going to take, or let me say play, in ensuring that this moves to the next level. But now you're talking about the awareness and talking about compliance by organizations. Now, how do we measure in terms of awareness to individuals who own this data? Would you say that enough people are informed enough to know their rights under this regulation?
If you look at the percentage now, I would say no. Why I'm saying no, I'm looking at the local people. I'm not looking at the corporate organizations.
Okay.
I think leaders have to do something, going through the vernaculars that the Yoruba, the Igbo, and everything to pass the message down.
Okay, those things should be mentioned in their dialects.
Dialects, so that people will know exactly that I don't just have to release my data. And if I release my data, I have the right to say, don't use my data. A lot of people, they don't know that. But if you go to corporate organization, because of the awareness that have been created, they are knowing it now. And I also will let you know that, apart from that, the awareness NIDA has created, you know, before you can do something like awareness, you need funds. And NIDA has to apply to the government for funds and everything. It's not easy to get funds these days in Nigeria. So the little they have, they are trying to make sure they use it judiciously. And also individuals like me, like any other fellow, we must be able to create the awareness to every other fellow, because NIDA cannot do it alone.
This data compliance organization, what are their key roles?
Very good question. DPCO, they are consultants. They consult to data controllers. When I say data controllers, I mean organizations. Because under the terminology of data privacy stroke protection, organizations are regarded as data controllers. Okay. And individuals are regarded as data subjects. Okay. So, and we also have the third one, data processors, who process data on behalf of the data controllers. They cannot process any data without instruction from data controllers. So what I'm saying in essence is that for us to measure, DPCO, they do train. Unlike before, I can go to any organization and say I want to train anybody on data protection or privacy, but I can't do it anymore.
So that's a different ball game now.
You have to be licensed by NIDA, because they want to control.
You have to be licensed
by NIDA.
By NIDA.
If you are not licensed by NIDA, you don't have the right. Not only even Ndpr, EU GDPR as well, or any other regulation from any other country. You've got to be licensed before you can do it. Unlike before, I have done a lot of training for Lagos State on data protection, data privacy, but I can't do it if I am not a DPCO anymore. Now, you can also audit, which is very important, because 15th of every March, every year, 15th March of every year, they must file returns to NIDA.
Oh, file returns like you are filing tax returns too.
To tax. Then not only that, October 25th, you must also make sure your audited, data audited must be sent to NIDA. If you are not a DPCO, you can't do it. So DPCO have been given the power that they can audit. Okay. So they audit as well, data audit, they carry out data audit. And not only that, apart from that, there are other, they can do outsourcing. That is, you can represent any organization and do some other jobs for them. So without being licensed as a DPCO, NIDA will not allow any other organization to do it. And that is why, because they want to control, because they know it's very sensitive. Data is very sensitive. And they don't want this data to be going here and there, flying everywhere, whereby you can, because you will break the rules, because we have data subjects' rights, and we also have the principle under data protection. So all these principles and data subjects' rights, only the DPCO have been given the power to make sure they work.
So they are the licensed people.
They are the licensed
What does
people.
it take? Because somebody may want to be
good.
So what is the requirement to be
the requirement is so simple. The requirement is so, number one, you must be either in the IT, a lawyer, an auditor, and then you must have background in data security, data protection law, then then a little bit of audit background. Then those who are in the risk or compliance, because you are going to do mostly compliance job. Then you fill the forms. Once you meet the criteria, because when you send your form to NIDA will scrutinize it, because not everybody has been given that license. A lot of people have applied, but they have their criteria.
But do you have a peep into an estimated number of the DPCOs that we have at the moment?
27. We have 27 DPCOs.
And you think
Across
that is
very,
enough?
very few.
27.
At least minimum by now, I would have expected 100 DPCO.
Even the 100 is too small.
No, I say by
At
now.
least minimum.
By now. Now, what I'm saying is that talking about all the MDAs, talking about all the corporate organizations, talking about faith-based organizations, as long as you process
Data.
or collect data, you are going to be liable.
Wow.
So you can see
services
the
of
number of
DPCOs.
organizations in Nigeria. Consulting firms are there. So many organizations. By the time, even if you have 200 DPCO today, and the law is being enforced, each DPCO cannot even cope because people will be calling you. It's not only processing data. DPCO are not processing data. DPCO want to make sure you comply with the Ndpr regulation. DPCO, so, and in the process making you to be comply, they want to do the necessary things by consulting for you, by training the employees how data should be handled.
Okay, it's an
Then
holistic,
also, yes,
like
it's an holistic approach. So, and that is why the DPCO themselves, they have to be trained, because we have gone for so many training with NIDA. NIDA has spent so much money in training DPCO to let them know they have the framework on which they will work, and they are still doing so many things. They are putting up a lot of guidelines so that it will guide the DPCO, so that they will not just be bringing unnecessary data reports for them.
Okay, so sir, let me take you back a little bit. You talked about this part of the regulation that says that each company should file in their audit by every
15th of March.
15th of March. Thank you, sir. So then I was going through that content and I realized that there was a clause there that says that it's only for companies that process up to 2,000. So now what happens to organizations that are processing lesser than 2,000? Are they not expected to file it, or what happens to them?
Let me tell you something. Today, the FRS, Inland Revenue, if you are having a turnover of less than 25 million, you won't be taxed. Okay. But you have 25 million above, you will pay 20% on net profit. With the same thing, don't wait till you process 2,000 data subjects. If you breach, you will pay a lot of fine.
That's when the alarm will ring.
because you are not doing 2,000 and you are not doing the right thing, you are postponing your doomsday. Because the weakest link is the employee. And if an employee does anything wrong and breach, and there is one thing in data protection, no material damage. Let me tell you, if I go to any organization and say, because you have used my data and I have torture, I cannot prove physically, but you are torturing me mentally, I can claim damages.
Wow.
So let me tell you, an employee who has been broke and wants to leave can create a problem. So it is better don't wait till 2,000. Data subject, do the right thing, so that you are in safe. You are safe, yes, so that you know that at any given time there is any breach, you can always make sure that you protect yourself.
My country is getting better. I'm so happy.
Really?
I was thinking it's only in the EU that you can do that. But now we have it in Nigeria.
I don't want to bring up a case, but already they have. NIDA has over 100 data controllers now who are breached, and we also have government organizations who are breached. They are already dealing with talking.
Okay, it can only get better. We can only hope for better days in Nigeria. I think the last one from me here is that, okay, saying all of this and the performances so far, the pros and cons, if you have to give some pieces of advice to NISDA on Ndpr 2019 to improve the performance and implementation in few words, how would you put that?
Number one thing is you create more awareness. Awareness is the key. There's no ignorance in law. And because of that, they are the judge and they have the court. Once you have been fined, that you have breached, they have stated what you are going to pay. So for you to let the world know that you are not withholding anything or you are not after money, but you want to make sure we have a Nigeria that is competitive in international world. Because if you don't have Ndpr, you will not be competitive in international world. Because there are countries that will not allow any. Let me give you an example. During one of our training section, I won't mention the name, but it's a British organization. As low as getting a cleaning agency, because they don't have EU GDPR And because Ndpr, they don't have anybody in that organization within the cleaning agency in Nigeria, they have to go to Britain to bring a cleaning company.
Seriously.
Because they don't want to breach the law. So you can see, because of that,
so it has a ripple effect on our economy as well.
That means we are losing revenue.
Revenue. So for us to be competitive in the international world, and that is why we are having Ndpr. Because if you are a country, you don't have Nigeria, if you don't have data protection regulation, then nobody will transfer or deal with you with time.
So it's a big.
It's a big thing.
Big thing. I think we mentioned it that apart from the oil that Nigeria is
it's
data information.
It's
the new oil.
Okay. It's the new oil. It's the new oil because if I want to make, you do know the number of data they sell every day. As we are talking, people are selling your data.
That's serious.
Wow. They are selling your data, and that is what we want to curb. That's what NIDA is trying to do, that you can't sell anybody's data without his consent. Where if there are areas you have to fulfill. Number one, there must be a contract between you and their fellow. There must be a consent from the fellow. There must be what we call national interest. Then that's also what we call personal interest. That is, if you are sick now and you want to die, the doctor can do a lot of things on your behalf because it is taking care of your personal interest.
That you
that is the vital, because you cannot communicate at that time. So and then we have, it must be lawful and then legitimate. Like you now, as a newcaster, there are certain information you may release. By virtue of your job, legitimacy will take care of that.
Under that regulation.
Yes.
So this data privacy and compliance will equally curb all these scammers, because that means they are selling emails.
Don't worry,
and phone
2023 election, a lot of people may go to jail because racial, because the Ndpr are taking care of sex, political opinions, your union, trade union opinion. So you cannot just use that. With time, people will know.
All right. Thanks so much for coming on the show today. I know it's a big topic that we can't really exhaust today, and we hope to make it an ongoing conversation, and we always continue to be a good ambassador of data privacy and protection on this show. And we also want to use this opportunity to say thank you for making us an ambassador of data privacy on this show. We appreciate that so much, sir.
Thank you so much.
And we'll continue to to let you down in that regard.
We want to encourage you.
Thanks so very much. We look forward to that.
All right, thank you.
All right, thanks so much, Mr. Tokunbo Smith. It's always a pleasure having you on Techbridge.
Techbridge today.
All right, so we were going for a quick break now. It's still Techbridge on Lagos Television. Please stay with us. Thanks for staying with us on Lagos Television. It is still Techbridge, and we'll be talking about the Nigeria Data Protection Regulation with Mr. Tokunbo Smith. Since, and it's always interesting when we talk about data privacy, and it's always something that we can't really exhaust in one episode. It's an ongoing conversation.
Honestly, when that stuff started last year, I was like, what are they into? But now we began to know more and more why they need to have that privacy and compliance.
Yes.
I even equally understand from the, I understood from the guest that there's a role for some people. That is data protection compliance organization and officers. So they are creating job as well.
Yes, that was
on one side, and they are covering the issue of selling your data to other people.
That really, so like what he said, there was an example he made about a British company that eventually had to go back to Europe to bring a cleaning agent. So eventually we can begin to see that it is beyond just data. It is having a ripple effect on our economy.
Of course.
And of course, a country that has a very robust data privacy regulation in place, it signals a very good business space. That is the way I see it.
It's very, very interesting. I think government should do more, like he said, we should create more awareness. As Techbridge, we'll be doing this more and more. And if we can get more partnership, of course, we'll bring them on this spot.
So we can probably say that it's too early to judge the performance of Ndpr, because so far we can see that we are on the right track. NIDA is on the right track of that. So let's see what happens in the next 12 months. It's just a year, like 12 months. So we'll also be here by God's grace to do appraisal of that.
Okay, that's good. That's interesting.
So that's our show today on Lagos Television. Techbridge it is. Many thanks for staying with us. Remember that you can watch this show and all other previous episodes on our YouTube channel, and that is Techbridge LTV. Also follow us on Facebook, and that is also Techbridge LTV, and we'll be glad to respond to all your comments. We appreciate all those comments, all those questions you drop each time. Thank you so very much for that. So till some other episode, I'm sure you from your today.
So with data privacy, with data compliance, with Techbridge, you can never get it wrong. So stay glued to Techbridge on every episode. My name is Tony Oladepe. I have to go for now.
Okay, bye.